Stephanie, you are muted. Stephanie. Good morning, Stephanie. Good morning from Mönchengladbach. You are muted. We can't hear you. For us online participants, there is no sound.
Yes.
But among us there is sound, so we wish good morning
Yes.
to everybody.
Yeah, we can hear everyone online, okay, but we can't hear the room.
I've also no
Step
clue
by
if
step by step.
I've also no clue if they can listen to us. I tried to interrupt Stephanie, and I have the feeling they cannot hear us.
Petra,
No.
caller on the telephone.
We
Caller on the
we
telephone.
can
Send a
hear
message.
you, but we can't talk ourselves. We need to tell them.
Yes.
Where's the chat?
Well,
But you can
actually,
call
they
her
responded
on
in the
telephone.
chat. I think they're aware now.
I think I can hear Stephanie now.
I can't.
It seems she's speaking, but I cannot hear her.
I don't hear her as well.
Mm.
No, me neither.
Me too, yes. We can't hear her.
Maybe. Do you have a phone number of anyone of the
Yes,
participants?
I do that.
area of agriculture, food security, and climate change through joint actions. actually come one after the other here and present. And for the online presenters, you are actually in the queue. So when check the agenda when it's your turn and check who's beforehand, and then come here and present or present from the online. We have all the presentations here in one PDF. So we'll actually put a timer on 2 minutes. And after these 2 minutes, I actually would like to ask you quite quickly, because then there will be the next one. We only have about 35 minutes. I know we already have some delay. That's my apologies for that. So I would like to ask the first presenter to come here. Okay. Okay.
Okay, so Haiga is all about the value chain of the black soldier fly. Now, I thought it would be essential to give you a general context about this value chain before I could dive into what we will actually do in Haiga. Basically, it's all about this little fly we see on the left, but actually that's only a side matter. We're really interested in the larvae of this fly because they are great converters of waste streams. We can valorize waste streams with these larvae, and from larvae, they are rich in protein and fat, and we can extract these components from them and apply them in conventional livestock, in cattle, in poultry, in fish farming, but also in our pets, cats and dogs. You see not all arrows make it to each animal. That is due to legal boundaries of the current situation. But that is what we work with. Now, the larvae themselves don't convert all the waste streams. They also produce frass, and this frass can be applied in agriculture because they are still rich in nutrients on the field for our crops and thus aiding in circular economy. Haiga aims to cover several knowledge gaps that still exist within this value chain to make it more sustainable and economically viable in the long run. That's it.
Thank you for staying perfectly in time. Okay, next.
Good morning, my name is Anita Burger. I'm one of the 2 projects that's coordinated from South Africa. The project, the acronym stands for Harnessing African Microbial Diversity to Mitigate Greenhouse Gas Emissions in Maize Production. So the project aim is to evaluate the use of a selected group of plant growth promoting bacteria on maize production, and to look at that towards greenhouse gas emissions by direct measurements of gas fluxes in situ. The research question, The research question is, can we use plant growth promoting bacteria? Can we use this technology to improve maize production without increasing greenhouse gas emissions? And the first prize would be if we can show increasing crop production and mitigating greenhouse gas emissions, or at least not increasing it. So in my talk, I will cover why maize production in sub-Saharan, why is this important? I'll show you that in the past 60 years, maize production hasn't increased much in this area. I will also show you that greenhouse gas emissions, the agriculture contribution to that is increasing. It's actually the highest in sub-Saharan Africa. I will talk to you about plant growth promoting bacteria for those who are not familiar with it, and what's novel about the approach, because the technology on its own, it's not novel, it's well described. I will tell you how we will go about, and then cover expected outputs and social impact. So I'd like to invite you to Berlin 1, 11:15, to tell you about this transcontinental project and the different expertise that we brought together to look at these, to make these or to address the project outcomes. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So I think live will be presented online.
Yes.
Can you make the speaker?
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Okay, it's getting not loud. Oh, so the echo, yeah. Um,
Good morning.
We hear you, huh? You can continue.
Yeah, but do they hear me in the room? This is the question. Okay, so good morning, everyone. Maybe you can move to the next slide. Thank you. So I'm Maria Rita Palatella, and I'm the coordinator of the LIFE project that was funded in the first call of the Green Air Hub. And of course, in this project, we want to address the big issue of effect of climate change on agriculture. So it is getting more and more difficult to ensure food production. And of course, we need to look for a new approach, for more resilient and sustainable to produce food for everyone. And hydroponic farm can be a solution because we have a controlled environment where we can better ensure that there are the right conditions to produce, but still in an hydroponic farm we need to generate the source of fertilizer. Next slide, please. So in our project, we want to work on hydroponic farm that rely on liquid fertilizer that are produced from animal manure. So as you know, in a classical aquaponic farm, it is mainly fish manure that is used to generate the fertilizer, but this may not be like the best solution for some country like Luxembourg, where we don't have fish farm, but it is mainly cow. And we thought, okay, let's try to transform the cow manure or other type of animal manure in nutrient solution. And we want to feed this nutrient solution in the hydroponic farm to grow different type of crop. Of course, this transformation process will produce fertilizer that are not stable in their composition like the chemical one. And then to control the whole system and the farm itself, we want to build a digital twin that leverage on different sensors and devices that are installed in the farm and in the manure transformation site. So our overall objective is to enhance the fertilizer efficiency and so reduce the use of chemical fertilizer. And as you can see in the bottom part, we started the deployment, and please stay in this room and you will get to know more in the next session. Thank you.
Thank you. For online presenters, I'm waving my mouse when you are over the toilet. Sorry. Okay. Back to cycle.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Today, I'd like to start with some of the greatest challenges laying ahead of us, namely population growth, increased well-being, and urbanization, which are basically reshaping our food sector, increasing specifically the demand for protein-rich foods. These will have to almost double by 2050. Addressing this gap in protein with conventional agricultural practices is unsustainable, and the dairy sector is a typical example of this. relying heavily on external feed product inputs while producing also large amounts of nitrogen and carbon-rich waste. In the Dare to Cycle project, we are basically working to address this by developing an innovative integrated biorefinery platform, leveraging different physical, chemical, and biological processes to recover carbon and nutrients from overabundant dairy waste and side streams, and to upcycle this into microbial protein. That is the protein-rich biomass of bacteria, yeast, and filamentous fungi, to be subsequently applied into the feed and food domain, as well as to produce innovative protein-based biopolymers to be used in food packaging. Our project started only 6 months ago, but our partners already gathered some interesting results, as you can see from the brief summary here in the slide, which we'll be talking about in the extended presentation. Why do we think this approach has a potential? Because based on our preliminary estimates, treating the available dairy waste and residues could, in the next future, enable to increase by up to 30% the production potential of alternative microbial protein at EU level, thereby increasing European protein self-sufficiency and improving sustainability of the dairy sector. So to conclude, in our project, we dare to turn waste into high-value protein and to foster the circular and sustainable transition of the dairy sector. If you are interested to know more, please join our session later.
Thank you. Okay, so we're now switching to the SASCROP project, so Root Plus. Is it online? Ja, muss online. Frank, das müsste jetzt online sein.
Can you hear me? Yes, okay. Okay, I will be talking about our ended project, Roots Plus. Yeah, you can go to the next slide. The project focused on the development of a novel breeding approach to get a more sustainable agricultural and horticultural production by making use of a non-GMO RI technology, which is described visually here. Next slide, please. We get RI plants with this technology, and compared to control plants, these RI plants differ in plant architecture, leaf and flower phenotype, and in the root system, which was the main focus of this project. Next slide, please. The project goals were to promote root growth, to obtain more resilient crops, more tolerant to drought, and better withstanding plant replant disease. And meanwhile, we also wanted to reduce the use of plant growth regulators by creating naturally compact plants. Next slide. We succeeded in obtaining more tolerance to drought. Plants suffering from drought recovered faster than plants, non-RI plants. Next slide, please. Regarding the replant disease, more further research is needed, but there are indications that plants are better withstanding this disease. Next slide. And regarding the plant growth regulators, you can see already on the pictures that RI plants are quite often more compact without the use of growth regulators. Next slide. So if you want to hear more on these results, come to breakout room Berlin 2 at 11:15. Thank you.
Thank you. So,
okay, I can you see for future. So in the face of climate change, food security and social stability are at risk. So increasing temperature and greater aridity and more frequent and severe weather events so are pressing issues. And in C4 Future, we are aiming at improving crop resilience to climate change and increasing the resource use efficiency. So this is basically the biomass you can produce out of one unit of resource. Our focus is on two soil resources, water and nitrogen. So limitation of these two resources have already a strong impact on crop productivity. With increasing CO2 in the atmosphere, the earth will favor plants having a C4 metabolism. Crops like maize and sorghum, they have evolved mechanisms to concentrate CO2, so they are better efficient at producing biomass, and they are also limiting water loss. So the C4 Future project is exploiting the natural variation in large diverse sets of these two crops. So we have synergistic activities in laboratory, so the white came down, I don't know, and in field to provide some key information to breed maize and sorghum for traits relevant to climate change.
Okay. Thank you. I would like to present you our BioHortiTech project, which is concentrated on the problems, progressing problems in horticulture, like loss of biodiversity, because you can see here that our field looks like this. It is very easy, very successful, and is good for to provide some income, but horticulture now copes with many problems like loss of biodiversity and also loss of the basic functions of the soil, intensive application of pesticides, chemicals, is cause the concentration increasing concentration of toxic residues in the soil, and also pathogen resistance. So we have also the problem with higher and higher pest pressure. So in our project, we want to make this production, intensive production, more sustainable. So we did several efforts to improve the situation, implementing additional plants in the production of fruits and vegetables, using those plants as living mulches. And also we would like to improve the formulation of bioinocula, so microorganisms and also natural substances, to make them more efficient in field condition. And we also try to see how they work together, how they will interact together. I mean, living mulches and this bioinoculation. And the last thing we wanted to see was how the bioinoculants survive in the field. So our experiments were conducted in field, and if you want to know more, I invite you to Berlin 2 room. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Catch BNI.
Good morning, everybody. My intention here is to convince you to join the Catch BNI presentation with this speech. I don't need to remind you of the importance of pollution we have in the environment, and in particular what is coming from nitrogen losses. As you can see here, we are beyond the boundaries that have been defined for the planet, and therefore all project aims at developing novel solutions to mitigate the issue of nitrogen losses in those agro systems. I think this picture gives you a bit the flair of the presentation I'm going to give. So we want to use genetic diversity of catch crops, or so-called cover crops, that we use in our agro systems in order to mitigate nidification and denitrification in those agro systems. That's a very environmental friendly approach to try to combine cover crops, catch crop, to provide some novel ecosystem services in our agrosystems. So in this presentation, I will show you some results about diversity of different catch crops that can be used, how they can actually impact the important cycle of nitrogen in the agrosystems, how we can reduce with those catch crop the nidification and denitrification, which are very important. I will also show you some results about rotation of catch crop and some major crop or cash crop for the farmers. I will also show you that we have developed quite some large expertise in terms of pipeline and bioassays to measure those activities. And this is now a very powerful tool actually to implement novel solutions in our agrosystem. So if you want to know a bit more about catch crop, if they have the potential to inhibit nidification in the agrosystems, if they do have benefits for the main crop after in the rotation, please join this presentation.
Thank you. And Herbert also has a challenge because he needs to be in two rooms simultaneously. Because you present, yeah. Okay, thank you so much. So we now going to the Aracobiotech projects, and we're starting with your place. Or is it my place?
My place. Yeah.
My place, okay. My place is your place.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. Morning, everyone. My name is Jose Jimenez. I'm from Imperial College London, and I don't think I need to convince anyone about the problem that we have with plastic and plastic waste. They're amazing materials, really useful for many things, lightweight, great water barrier properties, but they are meant to last forever, and that's the reason why they accumulate in the environment. And they create all sorts of problems. So in this project, in my place, which is one of the projects, Aracobiotech projects that has finished already, we've explored the use of plastics and microorganisms. So the use of plastics as feedstocks for microbial biotransformations and try to transform plastic waste into molecules with added value. So I will give a few highlights of those results, but also more importantly, perhaps, and related to the responsible research and innovation work that we did in this project, we also realized we also explore the use of microorganisms, try to design microorganisms to feed on this plastic waste straight away. So as some sort of cliffhanger, if you want to know more about whether we have to be worried about plastic eating microbes, please join me or travel with me to Paris, and I'll see you in a bit. Thank you.
Thank you. So actually, the presenter, Philippe Suquet of Synconsor for butanol, is not here today. He sent his apologies. So we go straight to Psycholim.
Good morning, everyone. Today's traditional chemical manufacturing relies on large energy-intense factories that often depend on finite resources and also produce a number of polluting byproducts. This mode of manufacturing is also associated with a significant amount of greenhouse gas emissions. And whilst the industry mainly focuses on maximizing production, this often actually comes at the cost and potential harm for society and environment. Now imagine the factories of tomorrow, driven by biology, where not machines but microbes perform the chemistry. And this is enabled through engineering biology that allows a conversion of renewable feedstocks into valuable compounds. The Psycholim project represents one step towards this future, where we engineered microbes to produce sustainably food ingredients. I'm Lisa Neitert, and I am a research associate from Imperial College London. And if you'd like to know more and also hear that this is not just a fancily generated, AI-generated image, but actually becoming a reality, please also come and visit Paris, and I'll tell you more about it. Thank you.
Okay, so we're now going to the FOSS projects. The first project is Kian. Is it
Thank you. I'm
online?
here. Online.
So send presentation and should be actually joining in Berlin.
Yes, I'm here. You can hear me? I'm already online. Oh, thank you.
Someone
Yes, thank
online?
you. Yes, I am.
Ah, okay.
I'm online. Hi. Thank you. Can I proceed? Hello. You can hear me? Okay. Okay, good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me. This is the Integrated Chia and Oyster Mushroom System for Sustainable Food Value Chain in Africa, CHIAM. And here we address the gap that exists in Africa, where we do much of traditional farming with poor yield and lack of resilience. So we created a climate smart farming system that increases the resilience, sustainability, and circularity in Africa. And we used chia and oyster mushrooms. We build an integrated chia mushroom pig biogas value chain, where we first focus on increasing the production of chia by breeding, and that way we increase productivity in Africa. And using the chia and also the biomass we get from the farm, we grow oyster mushrooms in an integrated farm where we create biodiversity. And the produce we get after harvesting chia and oyster mushrooms, that is used for food fortification, and we successfully fortified the ugali, that is the local staple food, and porridge for the local people. Using the spent mushroom substrate, we use it for either organic farming or we use it for animal feeding. We were able to feed pigs, and the manure we get from the pigs, we build a biogas system. And out of the biogas system, we were able to generate fuel for the households, and the waste we get is biofertilizer that goes back to the farm. So we complete the loop of circularity. And with circular farming, it has helped us to reduce waste at the farm and also to deal with issues of recycling and getting better nutrients at the farm. So you can join us more to learn on how we build circular economy in Africa for a better population and increase nutrient at household level. Thank you.
Thanks for staying perfectly in time. So next project is Feeling.
Good morning again. This time I'm going to try to convince you to attend the presentation of Feeling, which is equally important as the Catch BNI project. So maybe something that might attract your attention here is the importance of food losses in this world, but also the major difference we have between the African continent and the European continent. As you can imagine, the value chain and the way we save food or we store food in Europe is very different from what we do in Africa. We are lacking, of course, on the African continent, the capacity to store in cold temperature, for example. So we have massive losses of food in the value chain. And our objective in this project is actually to find solutions to mitigate those losses. We want to focus on the genetic diversity with a focus on cassava, which is the major security crop on the African continent. We want to see if we can improve its performance in post-harvest. It means in this case that we are trying to see if the plant is able to heal after harvest. You know that when you harvest, you damage the root crop, or the root in this case, the storage roots, and therefore we want to see whether there is some genetic diversity there in order to improve its storage over time. So in this presentation, I will show you some data about how plants after wounding can actually heal, or is possible to heal. We have some examples of model crops like potato, for example, that are able to heal upon damage. We will show you some results, some genetic results about how we could potentially improve cassava for this capacity to heal after harvest. This is a very important research because I think it brings some perspective on something that we have not looked over for a very long time. People have focused on yields, getting, as I said, a food security crop. So we're trying to focus on having high yield. But actually, it's also very important to look at the genetics to improve its performance for long-term storage. 2 minutes.
Okay, next project is salad. It's online. Sorry, yeah, online.
Pim, I think you should unmute yourself. There is a button on the bottom that's mute and unmute. I could try to send you.
Still no.
Now it's okay.
Okay, I switched some settings. Okay. I'm Pim, and I'm presenting from the Netherlands. Too bad I couldn't be there in person. I'm taking over from the project coordinator, Kate Negach. And today I would like to tell you about salinization. And I'm not sure how many of you know anything about salinization, so I'll give a little bit of an introduction about that first. Next slide, please. So what do we see here? We see a picture of the Aral Sea. This is in Uzbekistan. And a few decades ago, they were using a lot of water from this lake. This was a freshwater lake to irrigate cotton fields around the area. This was quite a big monoculture. And because of it, there was so much water subtracted from the water system, from the rivers that entered this lake, that the ecosystem kind of collapsed. And what happened next is that the whole area around it got more saline. So the salt concentration in the soil increased. And because of this, they couldn't farm anymore because most plants are quite sensitive to salt, and the farming systems collapsed as well. So this, in my opinion, is kind of a dystopian picture that could happen with farming systems all around us in the countries that we live in. Next slide, please. Yeah, and these are some news articles that have been popping up over the past few months and year about salinity. So as you can see, these are articles about wine growers in France, somewhere in the Mediterranean, and in the Netherlands as well in the North Sea area. Next slide, please. Yeah, but there is hope, because there is a thing called saline agriculture, and this is basically agriculture with climate smart agriculture with different crop varieties that are a little bit more salt tolerant, and certain techniques that mitigate the salt compounds in the soil. In the world, there are 17 million square kilometers that are affected by salt at the moment, and this will increase partly due to climate change. And the economic losses are estimated to be $27 billion. Next slide, please. Yeah, and here you can see some impacts, but yeah, I will talk a bit more about this in my longer presentation, so I'll skip this slide for now. Yeah, so it's affected by climate change. There are various saline environments. Not all of them are bad. You also have saline ecosystems that have a lot of biodiversity. And as I said, saline agriculture has salt-tolerant plants that, yeah, and there are different levels of salinization that you see on the right as well. More details on that later. Next slide, please. And that's where SALAD comes in. I think it's the nicest acronym for a project that I've ever seen. So that's, I'm quite proud about that. I see the time is up. Next slide, I'll go more into detail this later. Yeah. So thanks. And if you want to know what we did and what the results are, I gladly invite you to join the 10-minute presentation. We'll go a bit more into detail. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So if you like, you can already scan the QR code. So last talk in the pitch row is SUS Agri CC, and I think it's also online. So I switch off my microphone.
have again no sound.
That's
Okay.
because you didn't switch on the
Now you
mic.
should hear me.
Okay, great.
Okay, sorry for the inconvenience today. So here is the reminder, and also on page 18, actually, you can find the overview and decide which session you would like to go. But for now, as we actually managed to get the presentation on a stick of our keynote presenter.
Can we stop recording? Petra, can you stop recording and then switch on? While I'm doing this,